Be rainfall rates with those. And the heat hangs on tomorrow, too, with highs in the low 90s. That's the forecast on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. It's 84 degrees at our studios.
And it's Wednesday. It's the noon hour. That means it's time for Senior Talk, which is brought to you by the Solon American Legion and Senior Benefits. Now here is your host, Rex Brandstatter.
Oh, thank you, Tommy. Good afternoon, everybody. It is time for Senior Talk. What a beautiful day. June we've got going here in Iowa. The corn is growing. Talked to my farmer cousin the other day and asked him how the corn was going. He says, the corn looks great. He says, who knows what we'll end up with, but he says it's really looking good. And I have to agree. Just drive south of Iowa City on the Sand Road to get down here to the beautiful KCJJ studios, and the corn really looks good this time of year. There's even sweet corn going, and it's already tasseled out in a couple of little fields. Well, welcome. Welcome to Senior Talk, a weekly radio program where I do my best to bring some information, scattered as it may seem sometimes, but maybe some things that might be of importance to you, might be helpful to you, might be helpful to you and your friends or your family or acquaintances or the guys down at the coffee shop, or your lady friends, or whatever you might do, be out and about with. Maybe a couple of things might stick and might just be of importance to you. And that's the goal of Senior Talk. And I get calls all the time, quite honestly, I get calls all the time saying, I'm glad you happened to mention that a couple of weeks ago, or you mentioned something a month ago. It just kind of now hit me, and we checked out, and by golly, we decided to take part in that or get going on this project or whatever it is. So that's the goal of Senior Talk. My mission accomplished many, many times over. So thank you so much for telling me those things when you learn that. Well, I'm going to do my very best to bring you some real important things, in my opinion, for your consideration. And we'll have a little fun with some history as we delve into some of these things. That's the thing that we seniors seem to do best. We might not remember 1942 or 1952, but we might not remember tomorrow, but long in between there, we remember everything just like it was tomorrow. That's the neat thing about being a senior for sure. So my name's Rex Brandstatter. I'm 75 years old, and I'm a real estate broker, and I live in Coralville, and I work with and meet with mostly seniors. I work with a lot of executives of estates and administrators of estates. I work with the families of the seniors. I work with the seniors, of course, all the time. But I work a lot with the bank trust departments call me and say, we need to have you go look at this house. Mr. Smith passed away, and we need to take care of things over there. Anything from cleaning it out to selling the property, helping them locate different people and locate abstracts, all those things, the services that I offer to you. And you can get me on my senior line, 319-330-5534. 330-5534. I've been a part of some interesting conversations this past week. A couple dropped on me just yesterday. So as we go, I'll report those things. Right now they're in the infancy, but they're very important, and some of the things that maybe people could pick up on Senior Talk once we talk about them. Well, all those things aside, I would tell you that it's time maybe to sit back. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. Grab yourself a sandwich and a nice cold root beer. And by the way, I'm the recipient of a six-pack. Well, Rex, good. A good old six-pack of beer. No, it's a good old six-pack of diet root beer, my favorite. And inside that six-pack of root beer, it's a mixed six-pack, 6 different kinds of diet root beer. So that's my challenge. I'll be rating them, R-A-T-I-N-G, rating them, and I'll give you my update on diet root beer, my all-time favorite soda. And I don't drink it every day, but I have one a week probably, so to speak. So I'll give you some ratings on the different kinds. I never heard of some of them. Interesting things. So thanks to my friends who brought that in, and a big thank you. And I'll be taking part to help consume them and give a report. Well, if you like it hot, you're the winner. And I do like it hot, and I do like it the way it is. So that's just me. And that's not for everybody. But the thing that makes me like it is because I don't like 10 below zero. I don't like anything to do with snow. I don't like possible slipping on the ice. Even if you try to work and walk carefully, there's a chance you could trip and fall down. Now, I suppose I could trip and fall down in the middle of summer on the sidewalk, but not like you can in the winter. So that's why I like it. And you can stand outside and be under a shade tree, but when it's 10 below zero, you don't want anything to do with stand under a tree. Trust me. So let's keep it hot. Let's keep it going for sure. Well, speaking of that, I was watching a Major League Baseball game. I think it was Saturday afternoon. Matter of fact, it was the Cubs at Wrigley Field, and all of a sudden, the home plate umpire started walking around like he was lost in space. Well, truth be known, he was overheated. And the other umpires and kind of everybody was looking at him, and they figured out he was walking around, like didn't know what he was doing, and he didn't. He was overcome. And so the trainer went out there, and while they were talking to him, they just flat took him right into the dugout. Well, I hadn't seen that too often. I have, but not often. But later on in the same game, the opposing pitcher, the visiting pitcher, was on the mound, and he was going pretty good along, and he took a step back, and pretty soon he's wobbling around. He walked to the back of the pitcher's mound, went down on his haunches, squatted down, and stood up and kind of stretched out and shaking his head like shaking off. And they immediately ran out to him, and as they got out there, he kind of stumbled, and his knees kind of got weak and woozy, and they hauled him out too. So all in the same game, and that's what heat can do to you if you've not been around it and overexerted yourself. It's something that doesn't go away just because they hauled him into the dugout. They probably gave him an IV of whatever they do for him, make him drink water and IVs maybe. I don't know. But it can come back real easy even down the road. So you have to be very careful. So even though I like it hot, I'm not standing out there in the middle of it. And if you're working, you see these guys working, well, give them a break. That's for sure, because it is hot. Keeping on that same vein, the kids at Iowa City cannot go to the park pool. The city park pool is closed. Matter of fact, the city park pool is gone. You should drive past it. They tore it all apart, dug it all up. They took all the cement on the floor and the walls, everything, all the cement of the pool, and they ground it up like they do. They bring in a big grinder, and they got 2 or 3 great big, huge piles of ground up cement into little chunks. Huge, 3 big piles. Now, what they'll probably do is reuse those piles into the new cement that they'll put down, or use it for the base, which saves them money, which is a pretty neat idea. So the upper city park pool, the city park pool is gone, and they say they're going to be open next year. I would say a year from now, I don't see them opening up first thing. That's just me. But we got a lot of weather to go this fall, and the weather's never too good in the spring. And the pump probably won't arrive that they thought they were going to get, all those type of things. So I would say a year from July 1st this year, a year from today might be better rather than a year from in the spring. But if you grew up here in Iowa City area and you visited that pool and you went to, the basket houses and the concession stand, and you took swimming lessons there, and you met your buddies out there, your friends out there. And on the patio, down on the south side of the pool, they had the big cement patio, and they had twist contests back in the 60s. They had dance contests there on Friday nights and stuff like that. It was a real big point of entertainment, and that was after World War II on. So it's going to be missed this summer for sure. Now, as a Coralville kid, we rode our bikes there a lot. We didn't get many rides over there because we weren't afforded too many rides. We were get your butt over there on your bike. That sounds good to us. Which also led us to just go swimming in the river down below the dam, of course. So that's what it is. So that's what's going to happen there. So I would tell you, if you're looking for a place to go swimming, I would tell you Coralville has a great pool. North Liberty has a nice pool. West Liberty has a really nice pool. Yes, they do. So it's right on this end of town at West Liberty too. So swimming is a great thing. I hope each and every one of you know how to swim. I hope if you don't, that at least you see to it that your kids and or grandkids learn how to swim, because I was told this real early in life, the life you save may be your own. And if you know how to swim, you can at least hopefully swim to shore, and maybe take somebody with you and drag them to shore too, and help them out of their problem too. So just a little knot there that the Iowa City Upper Park Pool, or City Park Pool as we know it, is going to say. Where was the public pool before that? Where was the public pool? I didn't say swimming beach. I said swimming pool. Well, the public beach before that was the Blackhawk Beach over on Rocky Shore Drive, where Crandig Park is now. That's where, and Blackhawk Street is right up above up there. That's where the public beach was in the river. The first public pool was if you went around the horn, or on Rocky Shore Drive, went around the horn, and right into what is actually the northwest corner of Lower City Park, they poured a big dip, and it was called the Big Dipper. So that's where the first public pool in Iowa City, as far as my information goes. I remember when I was a kid, it was still there. They didn't use it, but the Big Dipper was still there. And it was like a big giant, half of an eggshell, and the shape of half of an eggshell, kind of long like that. And there was no diving boards or anything like that, but it was just a big open pool down there, and it was called the Big Dipper. That was the pool. So and then they built the Upper City Park pool. So that's the deal on swimming. I don't recommend swimming in the river. That's something a bunch of young guys did. We swam in Corville across and jumped off Lever's Leap. If you know where that is, well, I'm not going to tell anybody where it is because then you'll go over there and jump in and say Rex sent me. That's not true. But if you grew up in Corville around this area and you were at Lever's Leap and jumped off, you know where it is. And yes, we swam there a lot as kids. Well, my wife was looking for an object recently, and over the weekend she noted that she saw one, whatever she was looking for, she saw one in a garage sale. So that meant that on Saturday at some point, when it was about 400 degrees in the shade, I reminded her, she looked around and she said, that's where we need to go so I could look and see that. And she went over there and she did buy it. Whatever it was, I don't remember now. It wasn't very big because it was in a small sack. Well, while she's looking around for that, I did two things. I bought an ice chopper, an ice spud, with a big long handle. I told the guy there it was $2, for God's sakes. It was the cheapest ever. I said, it's hotter than crap here today, but I said, I'll need this 6 months from today, so I'm buying an off-season for $2, and I made a good buy there on an ice spud for my driveway. But while I was there, I noticed a business. There was a bit in this little cul-de-sac. I noticed something next door, and I'm going to give this guy the Businessman of the Day award. Now, this was on the back of a cul-de-sac, and there was a driveway there and a garage sale. A whole bunch of people at the garage sale there, nosing around, which the garage sale is that's one man's junk can soon be transferred to become your junk. How's that sound? They'll just transfer the junk from his garage to your garage. But anyhow, that's what happened. So this next door was a guy who opened a business. Let me tell you about this. Right next door, under a shade tree. And he was right on the sidewalk down there, just on his driveway, but right there was a young guy, kind of a Cub Scout-looking kid, and his dad was sitting there. They were in the, and the Cub Scout was operating a big lemonade stand. And I'm telling you, he hit the jackpot, ladies and gentlemen. He was sitting in the shade. I'm sure Mom was making lemonade, and this young kid was making a fortune. I told the guy at the checkout at the garage sale, I said, that kid next door is going to make more money than you do. And he just laughed. He said, yeah, no doubt. And he said he really didn't have to do all this baloney hard work we did to price things. He just goes, puts one sign up, says, I think it was $1.50, ladies and gentlemen. I gave him $2 and told him to keep the change, and his dad just started laughing. So I'm going to give that kid my businessman of the day. And later over the weekend, I stopped for another kid selling lemonade. No, that was Saturday afternoon too, and it was $1.50. So I gave him a tip, so another $2. So my thought to you is these kids are it's a great idea, and that mom and dad are in on it for the most part. So whatever it is, I always tell them it's the best lemonade I ever had. It's usually not. It's usually not too cold, or usually hot, or usually it's a little watery, or it's not the best lemonade you're ever going to drink. But I tell them that, make them feel good. They're kids trying to do something, and maybe, I don't know what they do with the money. That's their business. My rule at our house was I had to save half of it. So if I made $7, I had to save $3.50. That was just the way my brother and I were brought up. So we knew we could get out there and make some money. So my tip to you is if you see if it's safe and you can stop, and even if you turn around and get back and go give these kids to buy a $2 glass of lemonade, knowing you're not going to get the best product, and say hi to them and wish them well and tell them it's really, really good stuff. It encourages these kids to go out to get busy and be productive and maybe have a little a kick in the butt there, that rather than sitting watching video games, they could go out and do things like this and make something, even at a young age. So that it helps them. I never pass up a lemonade stand. That's the fact. Well, I have defined a garage sale as the friendly and fun transfer of junk from one owner to another. Everybody's nice at garage sales and look at that and things like 10% off, or throw that in with the deal. Buy the blue shirt, we'll throw in the green hammer, something like that. It's the friendly and fun transfer of junk from one owner to another. Isn't that the truth? Well, 30% of senior taxpayers say the thought of filling out tax forms makes them just want to wring their hands and almost cry. So 1 out of 3 of us, of we seniors, the thought of filling out tax, didn't say the actual filling, the thought. 33%, so we'll call that 40, or 37%, so we'll call that 40% of Americans report that they are dependent on their tax refunds to keep going in the spring. Wow. 40% of Americans report they are dependent on their tax refunds to make ends meet during that month. Holy mackerel. 22% of Americans say they expect to have more than $10,000 in debt prior to filing taxes. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot of money, and it's probably not, depending on your outlook and your stature of financial ability, capability, things like that. But 1 out of 5 Americans say they expect to have more than $10,000 in debt. And what I think by that is that doesn't mean a mortgage, that doesn't mean a car loan. That means that they owe maybe on a credit card debt, or maybe they're making a payment on a new furnace, or a new air conditioning, or new windows for the house, or something stupid, things like that. They have $10,000 in debt. Wow. 33% of Americans say they would pay a fee to get their tax refunds early. So 1/3 of Americans say they would pay a fee to access their tax refunds early. And I think, and I know that these income tax places, tax reporting places, H&R Block and others, they do offer that. You can get early. They'll pay you. So if they fill out your form and they say you're going to get $1,000 back, we will give you $750 now, and when it comes back, we get the other $250. And people are lining up for that. They just can't stand having to wait until their $1,000 gets back, which goes up to those people up here, the 37%, we said 40, are dependent on their tax refunds. So that is the big hook for these companies. They say, look, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, or Bob, or Jane, whatever who the case may be, you're going to get $2,000 back, and for $1,200 right now, we'll pay you $1,200, and we'll take it whenever it comes in. And I don't know the percentage that they take, but they're not doing it for their health, so it's going to be a pretty hefty cut. And if you need the money bad enough, you sign up, and then you get your $1,200 today, right now, today. They've got cash, and then when their year 2,000 comes in, they get $800. That's not a bad day's work. I think I should get in that business myself. Well, as we have seen on television and heard everywhere, the United States has and is celebrating the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. Good for us. Besides protecting our country, the Army has provided us with some very important inventions. And I read this article, and I almost didn't bring it here, but I just think that some of these things, a lot of things that they invented and used that we don't know about, they'll never tell us about, but are very useful. But these things I think are pretty interesting. Jeeps. That's right, a Jeep. In 1940, the Army put out a request for drawings and working models of a vehicle that would work under adverse conditions. Road challenges, rain, snow, ice, terrain issues, and that's what they needed. Because, no, we weren't at war, but the Army over the years had seen that they needed a quick access vehicle. They needed like a command vehicles. They needed the courier vehicles because, World War I, they didn't have that. They used carrier pigeons, for God's sakes, and they used guys on bicycles. It was a tough deal. So they put out this RFP, which means request for proposal, and they got a few responses. The two major responses were from who? Who are the two companies that responded with the working model and drawings and sales info and things like that? Number one, it was Willys, W-I-L-I, Willys Jeep. Willys Overland Jeep is the name of the company. And Ford. So I watched these training films. As a matter of fact, I read a letter that my dad wrote back. He was in boot camp in March of 1942. He enlisted in the Army after Pearl Harbor and was in December 41. He enlisted. We couldn't wait to get in the service. He never regretted serving. He regretted the food and location, as all you guys did for sure. But he wrote a letter. Big spider just crawled right by here, Tommy. Great big spider just went marching right by my desk. So it doesn't bother me, but you guys, if you don't like spiders, there's one in here. Anyhow, I got this letter from my dad. It was back to his parents, my grandma and grandpa. And he said that we got a new vehicle in camp. Now he's down in South Carolina in boot camp. And he said, and it's called a Jeep. And he said, this vehicle, he says, it looks like a short pickup truck, real short pickup truck, and doesn't have a top on the cab. And he says, it goes anywhere. And it's got a thing called four-wheel drive. And he says, you don't even need roads. He said, in his letter, I've read the letter, it says, we'll win the war with this vehicle. And he pretty well hit the nail on the head. The Jeep played an extremely important role in Europe, the South Pacific, and they still use Jeeps today. Well, the two finalists were Ford and Willys, and Willys ended up with the contract, but they could not handle the first order for 20,000 Jeeps. So they got together with Ford. And the reason Ford could handle it was because they have, in Detroit, they have the big manufacturing and production lines, and Ford ended up making bombers, B-17s, B-24s, all B-25s in Detroit was one of their main plants. So they jumped in with the Ford, and so Willys got the contract. And they ended up making, I think 85,000 Jeeps. 85,000, man, the Jeep coming down the assembly line. If you've ever ridden in a World War II era Jeep, there's going to be one in the Corvette July 4th parade, leading the parade. We've got a World War II Jeep online. It was there last year, too. But this time, pay attention. That's a World War II Jeep that's been recabulated in top shape by a local doctor who's very receptive to having the Corvette American Legion enlist him, I like that term, to drive his Jeep in the Corvette. In fact, we always call him and we invite his Jeep. And, oh, by the way, if you want to drive it, feel free, but we're inviting the Jeep. And he laughs and comes up. So one thing I want you to do with that is on the original design of the Jeeps had the 7 vertical radiator pillars. So if you drive around town now, you pull up beside a Jeep pulls up behind you around there, take a look at the front of the Jeeps, not the brand new Jeep Wagonairs, those great big Jeep Wagonair things, cost $100,000, but just your regular Jeep. I have a Jeep Grand Cherokee that I drive in the winter, and lo and behold, after I read this a few years ago, every Jeep has 7 vertical pillars on the outside above the front bumper. So if you're driving down the street and see a Jeep, if you want to, go ahead and count them. There's 7. And I'm in war with a spider there. He's marching off that way. There you go. And away he goes. He's got bigger fish to fry than mess with Rex, I guess. So that's the deal. So next time you see a Jeep, in homage to the first Jeeps made, every Jeep has 7, you can count them, radiator pillars, I call them, out front on the grill now. And away you go. All right, Ray-Ban sunglasses, or aviator glasses as we know them, were designed and used by the Army Air Corps to protect pilots' eyes from the sun at high altitudes. And Ray-Ban sunglasses are all the rage today. So a lot of you wear Ray-Bans. A lot of college students wear Ray-Bans. A lot of seniors wear Ray-Bans. They're very stylish, in my opinion, and they're expensive. Ray-Ban is the name of the company that actually invented them. And to this day, you see on the corner of one lens, the Ray-Ban. Well, they were big for the Army Air Corps in World War II. Bug spray. Thank God for bug spray. The Army developed DEET. That's D-E-E-T, all caps. That's the active ingredient that insect repellent used to this day. Thank God. Well, the Army developed that for World War II in the South Pacific. And then the EpiPen. What? The EpiPen, it's a device used to protect soldiers from chemical exposure originally. So they would say, boy, we've got these enemy, the bad guy enemy says release some chemical. You need to, if you're exposed to it, you need to inject yourself with this EpiPen. Well, now, as we all know, these EpiPens are commonly used by people to combat allergies, including bee stings. That's the big one. So a lot of you guys listening up, men living out there, probably have an EpiPen in your pocket or in your purse or somewhere, and you just know in the back of your mind you might need that somewhere. Well, my neighbor at one point was allergic to bee stings, so he didn't mow the grass. Well, one time his wife wasn't feeling good, and then he had to get out there and mow, and sure as heck, he got stung. So he ran into the house, and his wife was fumbling around, and, of course, she had it right there. He was fumbling around, his wife, here it is. He gave himself a shot, and I suppose he saved his life. I don't know how quick and nasty that overcomes, but it's a pretty bad deal. So that's what we got. They also developed the electric razor. Matter of fact, I used one this morning. Colonel Jacob Schick invented the first electric shaver, and he invented that in 1928. And I've used one for years. I haven't used a straight razor or Gillette razor for a long time. I don't mind either one. My dad told me in World War II, I asked him one time, how did you shave? You see so many pictures. Now, the Civil War, they had a straight razor. They didn't shave every day, not many of them. I said, but World War II, I noticed my dad never had a beard. I said, what'd you do? He said, well, I learned to shave with cold water and soap. And they always had the straight razors, just a single blade. And it was a Gillette single razor blade we had. It wasn't mine. But he said, I can't stand the beard. That's just him. Whatever you do is your business. But so that's what he said. They turned your helmet upside down and put water in it, soaped up best you could, and shaved. Where you go. And finally, with that, the Army invented Pringles. The Army needed a snack and conjured up dehydrated potato flakes. There you go, Pringles. And they got all kinds of different flavors. I haven't had a Pringle for a while. They got all kinds of different flavors of Pringles out there. So there you go. So the Army is not only celebrating their birthday, we're celebrating all these great useful things that because of the Army. Number one, they protect us, for God's sake. That's number one, of course. Well, I had a senior lady call last week and said this. She says, I have 3 grandkids coming to town after the 4th of July. They all like science, animals, movies, and stuff, and I'm the grandma who they think has all the answers for everything. And she said, I guess that's part of the job of being a grandma. I said, yep, you're right. So she said, how or what can I do to keep them busy for a couple hours a day? Well, I'm not even a parent, and that makes me ineligible to be a grandparent. So I said, well, let me think what I would do. Here's what I would do. She told me there are 7, 9, and 11. 2 girls and a boy. 7, 9, 11, I don't know which is which. So not being a parent, I said, so here's what I would do. Number one, and this I'm going to send this out to any of you who you can go do this personally as well. But if you got grandkids or friends visiting this summer, here are 3 things, maybe 2, that you could do. All right, you could go down to Iowa Hall and McBride Auditorium on the Pentecrest, next to the Old Capitol. It's free. That ought to be a sucker punch for you. It's open daily, and you can go into McBride Auditorium. If you took classes over there, which I did, you can either go on the north side or the south side. It's the university building, so there's offices in there and classrooms. But, right now there's nobody in there. In summer school, there might be classes in there, but they're in the classroom. The big auditorium in there won't be used. And you can go up to the second floor, and you can go to Bird Hall, and there's a great museum in there, animal museum. And it's great, ladies and gentlemen. If you've never been there, this is a starter kit for how to go to a museum. It's free. It's right here in town. Parking is pretty ample downtown right now, and it's cool inside. There you go. These kids will love it. And the birds are all where they got the bird, who found this albino sparrow, and there's the big. We always like looking overhead to see the big whalebone skeleton they have. I mean, there's a dodo bird down there. It's cool stuff. And you've never been there, kick yourself in the fanny and go down to Iowa Hall, right next door to the Old Capitol, which makes you think if you're downtown on the Pentecrest, you could walk next door to the Old Capitol and go in the east, what they call the East Portico, the side towards Iowa Book, towards downtown Iowa City. And they're open during the day. I don't know their hours, but there'll probably be a sign on the door when they're there, and you can take a tour of that. Now, grandkids won't get much of a kick out of it. They think it's an old house. But they will get a kick out of going up and down the staircase. So it's supposedly the world's largest reverse spiral staircase. And I've been up and down it many times. And remember, that was the capital of Iowa from 1848, 1846 until 1855. That was our capital. It's a beautiful building, and it's been recapitulated. It's all up to date inside to a period. They have a period and or replica furniture in there, where the Iowa Senate met, the Iowa House, the governor's office. It's all in there, right here in Iowa City. So there's 2 places, and I know the kids will get a kick out of the. Now they can't run around like a bunch of chickens with the head cut off, but nor should they. Boy, that would have been a quick way for me to get back to the car. Run around like a crazy man, I'd have been right back to the car and nothing flat. That's for sure. So that's 2. All right, the Coral Ridge Mall. And the Coral Ridge Mall is, they've got movies out there. They've got ice skate rental. There's the Children's Museum, now ages 7, 9, 11. I don't know to what level that thing, I've been through it, but I don't know what level it plays to. But certainly the youngest one would enjoy it, and the other 2 could suck it up and go in there with their little brother or sister. There's the merry-go-round out there. All kids like to ride on the merry-go-round. Truth be known, Grandma will probably get on it too. And you could go to the food court. They'll get a kick out of that. You could buy them lunch at a Chick-fil-A or A&W. So there's a couple right there. I've just laid out some really interesting things for your grandma and grandpa to take your grandkids for sure. And that's air conditioned out there as well. And you can also check out any public libraries. North Liberty, Solon, Coralville, Iowa City have some cool things in the libraries, not just books, but they have other things for kids to look at. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think you've spent more than $10 at all three places, and that's if you buy them lunch, So it's easy and no charge to attend those places for sure. So I hope I helped that lady. I told her all those things, and she said, thank you very much is all I know. So if you see some grandma wandering around with three kids, she might be the one who entertaining her grandkids for sure. Well, I just think that's a neat thing to do. What else you can do? All right. Well, when I was a kid, your parents wanted your parents. When I was a kid, you never wanted your parents to know that you didn't have anything to do in the summer. You never wanted to utter the following words: "We're bored," because immediately they would have lawn to mow, windows to wash, cars to clean or vacuum out, weeds to pull, sidewalks to edge, rooms to clean. So my brother and I and our buddies, we learned real quick: never say we don't have anything to do or we're bored. Immediately you were on a work detail. So if that worked at your place, your home too, I'm sure it probably did. So don't get bored. Don't ever get in a rut. Go to new places for lunch. You think, well, I don't know. I don't want to go for lunch. Get in the car and drive to West Liberty. There's several cafes on the main street. Go to Wilton down there. Maybe the Candy Kitchen is open. Drive to Mount Vernon, any place. But go out there. I don't know. I don't want to send you somewhere where there's no lunch place. But those places have it for sure. West Branch, there's a cafe downtown West Branch. Change things up. As a senior, you'll see things, great Iowa countryside. And by the way, when you go there, even though the cost of gas in your car, it's much cheaper to go to those places for sure. I want to remind you there's a free car show this Friday night at Coral Ridge Mall. The Class C Chassis Car Club, they have on the southwest side over there by Chili's and Red Lobster. There'll probably be 80 to 100, 125 cars there. And that's from, I think, 4:30 to 8:30. So roughly speaking, by 5 or 5:30, there's a whole load of cars out there. And you can drive your old car out there and no charge, all free. You can see cars for your era. Here's one you always wanted, or look at that one, I always wanted one of those, or gee, I wish I would have bought that one. Or I had the same thing, only in blue. So it's a good time to go there. And lots of cool old cars. And it's summertime, ladies and gentlemen. Get out and go there. Don't know what the weather's going to be. You don't have to stay all night. Take a lawn chair if you'd like. Just sit there. Well, get this, seniors. The top chronic health conditions that kind of get most of us. Number one, 47% of us worry about and or are saddled with some sort of arthritis. Arthritis. Now, maybe that's an old football injury. Maybe your fingers. Maybe your knees. Your arms, your whatever it is, but arthritis, that's half the people. Wow. Cancer is at 20%. Now, they come a long way with the cancers. Not everybody can be, as we know, we've all lost friends, but so many cancers are treatable. They really, truly are. They've come a long, long ways with cancer. Diabetes. And diabetes is hereditary. Diabetes is also self-infused by poor eating habits. The number one problem, which is caused by it, of course, is internal, but sugar is the main enemy. So you just have to kind of watch yourself with that. And I'm certainly not the doctor or anything like that. I don't mean to tell you about that, but you all know what some of the causes of these things are. And the COPD and emphysema, you can pretty well figure out what a lot of those problems are. Not everybody who has COPD is a smoker, but COPD and emphysema, that's the 11%, down to 11%, which is a great reduction because the World War II crowd and the Great Generation crowd, I don't know the percentage. I'm going to say 90% of them were smokers. And lots and lots of movie stars you all loved and watched the movies, lots of them died of lung cancer from smoking. Absolutely. And, of course, not to be outdone, down to 10% is coronary heart disease, which in COPD, which is boy, that's the old widowmaker. That's the old one that here today, gone tomorrow type of thing. And that's you just never know. You can be a picture of health, and when it's your time, it's your time. And that's numbers up, your numbers up. That type of thing. But in the meantime, I want you to do your best and take care of those things, because guess what? None of us ever know about our tenure here on the old planet Earth. No guarantees were ever granted, and never have been, never will be. And knowing that we seniors, we are headed down that back stretch, I advise the following mindset, and here's all you can do, is do all you can while you can, because, ladies and gentlemen, well, it can happen to younger people. We have a higher propensity, a higher percentage of at some point becoming afflicted with some of these things I just talked about, including the heart attack type of thing, which is a lot of people say, well, if you're going to go, maybe that's the way to go, and I can't refute that, but none of us want to do that for sure. So I just want you to take care of yourselves. There are a lot of activities out there. You have to be your own judge and your own jury on the heat, how that affects you, and how it affects you, what you do, and don't overexert, that's for sure. And don't underexert. Keep yourself busy. Keep your mind going on things. We got a lot of time to go here as seniors. We're not done, for God's sakes. We're going to give them hell up to the last dog is hung, and until then, we're going to keep busy, keep active, and keep doing what we can do. So do all you can while you can. And my salute to each and every one of you who is a veteran, and to all those, my salute to all those serving today to keep our country free, as we can all read on in the newspapers and watch on TV every day, it seems like. So that's it for Senior Talk this week. Thank you so much for listening. This is Rex Brandstatter saying thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. So long.
Looking for a place with a fun, casual